is show you a little bit. We're going to paint this office wall, and what I wanted to do was we discussed before some of the roller covers that we've used in the system that we use to paint. So now I'll show you. So you went to the store, you bought all the tools that we talked about, or what you need to do your project. You're trying to figure out what roller cover you're going to use. So this will help maybe a little bit. So our system, when we paint a wall, when you paint a wall, you're going to want cut in. So cut in is when you use a trim brush against the top. So people always wonder what that's called. We call it cutting in up to the trim with a brush. And then you're going to roll, and then you're going to come back, and pretty much from wherever you can reach, you're going to come down and you're going to cut in at the bottom. The reason that we do this system this way is if when you start at the top and you cut in your top, you haven't got paint on your wall yet. So you're in a bedroom or you're in the kitchen or something, you've got furniture out and you have just a little bit of space. What you don't want to do is roll your wall first. Then you're trying to cut in at the top and you've got wet paint and you're getting all in it. So the logic is make sense, top to the bottom. So cut in your top, roll your wall, and now you cut in at the bottom afterward. Why do you cut in at the bottom afterward? Same idea. You've cut in the top, you've rolled the wall, you've got a drop cloth down here, and you're going to need to move that thing. So if you've got a regular baseboard, this is a little taller baseboard here, but you've got a regular baseboard, and you've cut in the bottom, and you start dragging that, and you get it in the paint, now you drag it down the wall, whatever. So the same thing, cut, roll, cut. That's the system. So when we're rolling, we talked about roller covers and different naps. I've got a few naps here, again, that I'll show you. So one of our favorites that we like to use is the sheepskin or lambskin. We call it a lammy. The reason that we like to use it is it holds a lot of paint. And when you roll on the wall, it doesn't leave a lot of spatters everywhere. It doesn't spit and spatter. Now you'll get a drip if you come out of the bucket and you don't have the sides, wiped or whatever. You're going to get a drip, and it's going to happen. But you're not going to get that spatter that you see where it just covers things. Our go-to, and you'll see that we use these here, is these Purdy Colossus. We like to use these a lot because they're real durable. The lambskins have a cardboard core inside, and they break down pretty fast. They don't last a long time. Whereas these has a plastic core. They do spit a little bit, not real bad. So we use these on most of our construction jobs, most of our repaints. And they last a long time as long as you take care of them. Something else you're going to see is and a lot of, you're painting a garage floor and you'll see you've got some of the solvent-based products. This is real common, these soft woven, because they don't break down in the solvents. So you'll see a lot of concrete guys use these, or we use them when we're doing garage floors, driveways, stuff like that. But we don't use them on walls because they like to spit and spatter. So that's kind of the whole idea. This is the basic. There's more choices out there. So the next thing you're looking at is the nap. So I got a couple of these lammies to show you more than anything, and you can just see the difference in. So we have a 1/2 inch nap, a 3/4 nap, and a 1 inch nap. Now that 1 inch obviously is twice as big, so it's floppy. So this is probably something you're never going to use when you're painting a room. I can't imagine that you would. Now you may use this on the outside of a house. I wouldn't use this on the outside of a house if I was painting stucco, because these things are not cheap and you're going to tear it up really quick. This is probably going to be your go-to for the outside of a house. But you can get a 1 inch nap. Standard go-to for most painters that I know is a 3/4 nap. We use 3/4 naps on our walls. A 1/2 inch nap is more of when you've got, like, we've got a texture here. And you're going to see, especially in Florida, you're going to see a knockdown. You're going to see the skip trowel. You're going to see even some of the eggshell patterns on the walls. And that texture, you need a little coarser, so a 3/4 is good. It holds lots of material. 1/2 inch doesn't hold as much paint, so you're not going to go as far on the wall. It's really good for smooth walls. And you can even go 3/8. The whole idea is that you want these fibers to not flop on the wall when you're rolling. You want the tips to roll and hold the paint, and I'll show you that in just a minute. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to cut out in just a minute. We're going to do I'm going to paint this wall top to bottom, and we're going to show you just the system that we use, and then I'll come back and talk a little bit more when we're done. Different brushes that we use. I like to use a wall brush. I would call this a wall brush. This is a 3.5. It happens to be a Corona Triumph brush. It's one of my favorite wall brushes. They have several. The Zane is probably one of my favorites for exterior, especially. Now I'm promoting Corona, but I'm not. So we have a wall brush. I like to use a wall brush because what you're looking for, if you'll notice when I cut and roll the wall, I'm coming down enough to where when I roll, I'm not going to hit my trim. If that's a ceiling, I'm not going to hit the ceiling. I have enough room. A lot of times you'll see guys and they've got this little 2-inch brush, 2.5-inch brush, and there's this little line, and then they're trying to roll up without hitting something. It doesn't take a lot. So what, I've got my brush, and there's a couple of things I'll show you real quick. First of all, loading. So when you have a brush, and you'll see people dip it in here and they get it way too deep. So you want to take your brush and you're just going to hit just the top of the paint with a little bit, and then you tap it. This is called loading. What it does is it keeps the paint on your brush. You didn't wipe it off. Now a lot of times, and especially the newer guys that we train will see them, they dip their brush and then they go like that, and then they go to cut in and there's nothing on the brush because they took it off the brush. So you tap it in the paint, tap it on the side. Your brush is loaded. You now have paint to work with. The next thing you're going to want to do, when we cut in, we don't take all this, that's a lot of paint, even though it doesn't look like it. You don't take that right up to the edge of what you're cutting in with. You bring it out here, kind of like with the roller deal, same thing. You load it on the outside of the wall, and then you work it back in with your brush.